Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to our Zera podcast. We're excited that you returned. If you have not watched our first episode, we encourage you to watch our first episode. But here we are. We want to talk to you about personal branding and why personal branding is important. In talking to people, sometimes they don't see the value, the importance of personal branding because they might be starting their career, they're still in college, or they may see, well, what's so special about me? I want to encourage you, it's never too early to start branding yourself. And what is the purpose of branding yourself? From your experience, Savannah, what is the purpose of branding yourself in a way that it shows that you have something of value?
So, personal branding really showcases the skills and values that you possess, whether it's in a workplace or values you possess in your family. Personal branding really will elevate you in a room and let people know, hey, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and this is also what I believe in. And so, I want to share a story of how not branding myself personally and professionally hindered me from securing a leadership role. I did not secure a leadership role just recently because I had no personal branding. I did not develop myself. I did not brand myself. And mainly on social media, mainly online, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Instagram is a little bit more personal, and I think everyone kind of understands how Instagram can be more, family driven, friend driven. And then your LinkedIn is very goal driven, very workplace driven. And then Facebook can be a mix of both. And for a long time, I was trying to be influenced by opening up a LinkedIn account, and I never did. And because of that, it hindered me from securing another leadership role. I was in a leadership role before, and I knew I was ready for something different and something new, and I applied for various positions, and that one leadership role that I really wanted wasn't for me. And although the employer didn't say this straightforward to me, I knew exactly where it led to. And it was because my resume says one thing, it has all this credibility on my resume, but now where's the work to show for it? Where are the pictures? Where are the posts? Where are the documents that say, oh, everything on your resume is true? I didn't have that. I didn't have documentation of the branding that I created for myself. And in my head, I thought I did. In my head, I would say, I have to dress a certain way. I have to talk a certain way. I have to present myself a certain way. I can't be this way because I wanted to brand myself like that. But that's all it was. It was an idea. It was a thought. I never branded myself online or in person. And that, held me back from a leadership role that I could have secured and didn't.
And one of the things that I often say is, and I think I said it in the last episode, that in order to be able to add value to others, you first have to see value in yourself. Yeah. Because it's very difficult to pour out to other people if you're not pouring out to yourself. Or we say it a different way, you cannot give what you don't have.
Correct. Yeah.
So in order to be able to brand yourself, I think it's important to be able to see the value in yourself. And today we want to share with you 4 things when it comes to personal branding. And the first one is really creating that strong online presence.
Yes.
Now, whether you are on social media or not, whether you have a strong following or whether you may not be as active, we want to encourage you, if you want to brand yourself, you have to be active.
Yes.
Not for the sake of just sharing, but sharing things that really are going to highlight your work, your strength, and your expertise. Sharing the experiences that you have gone through in life, your ups and downs, the milestones that you're reaching, your goals, because someone is going to be inspired.
Yes.
You cannot influence or impact everyone, but you can impact and influence someone.
Yeah.
That's what I love to say. So one of the ways to be able to create that strong online presence is sharing your experiences and sharing your knowledge. And many times you might not see that as a added value because it's second nature to you. But sharing your experience online is very important for your personal branding. I know that we've had conversations of me encouraging you to open your LinkedIn, but what are some of the things that you've been able to see by sharing and just being more active, specifically on LinkedIn? Because I think that one of the things that people don't know about LinkedIn is it's a professional platform where it was created to share your professional experiences, your professional goals, your professional milestones. But what have you experienced in sharing on LinkedIn and being more active?
So for my current role, I am employee engagement. So it is my goal to interact with all of my employees. But what's difficult about that is that there's a little over 2,000 employees at this organization. So how am I going to engage with every single one of these employees? And for me, what really helped interact with them is LinkedIn. They're constantly posting different things about their departments. So that gives me insight about what they have going on, about how they celebrate one another, whether it's through milestones that they post about, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries. And so that's definitely one way I've been able to increase my visibility as this new employee engagement is through LinkedIn and getting to tap into, well, what are you doing for the organization and how are you doing it for the organization? And I've noticed just so much activity coming from the people in our organization, the employees in our organization, the culture, the work culture that we have. And I now feel like it's my responsibility to elevate that culture, to elevate that work culture for each one of our employees. So I definitely feel like this has helped me increase that visibility as a new employee for the organization, but also really for the employee engagement title. That's my role. I'm here to create this safe space for our employees so that every day they wake up and say, man, I love my job. Man, I love my department. Or when they receive something from our team, man, let me open it up and see what they're talking about. Let me open up that newsletter. So really creating that space where I can learn more about them as they can also learn more about me. But it's also opened up different opportunities for volunteer opportunities within our organization. I've been able to connect with various people and providing opportunities for volunteer work in the organization that I'm in now, but also being able to connect with other employee engagement personnels for different organizations. I connected with one from Whataburger just recently, and we're about to have a link up here in the next week. And I want to tap into, what do you do to celebrate your teammates? And maybe I can implement those in my workplace, because a lot of these employees have already done this, have already drove down this road. Now I want to make it that much more better for them. So I want to elevate every visit that we have. I want to implement new things, and I want to bring just new insight into the organization. So it really just keeps, a happy and healthy work environment for everyone involved.
So again, how do we create a personal brand for ourselves? As we shared earlier, it's really creating that strong online presence. And one of the ways that we do that is through sharing our experience, but also our progress. Yeah. I'm sure that you've progressed so much in the time that you started to where you're at today. And you need to showcase that. I've had the opportunity of hire people on my team, and I want to hire people that are winning in life. If you have a history of past wins, I want you on my team. But it's very difficult to see if people are winning in life if they're not sharing their story. Correct. And one of the ways that you can do that is through social media. Now, doing it the right way. Many people may think that you're doing it to brag, but it really is to share and inspire other people to see how far you've come along. Yeah. And the second point when it comes to building and creating that personal branding is making sure that you are intentional about building relationships. And that's one of the things that I feel I excel in. And when it comes to building relationships, is building organic and real relationships. And I want to share a story of how I created a relationship, how I connected with someone, and that led to opportunities. Because when you're branding yourself, it's not only about creating relationships, but it's also about nurturing relationships. And so early on when I started, I had anxiety about connecting at mixers. And the reason why I struggled connecting at mixers is because I found it awkward. To me, I found it awkward because typically there's a style, a typical people that attend mixers, and it feels like if you go to one mixer, you see the same people all the time, right? And I didn't know how to interact with people at mixers. To me, it was very awkward to interact with people. What do you talk about? What are they gonna
Ask you about.
yeah, or what is it about me that they're gonna want to know? And I found it very awkward. And I remember there was a mixer that I had decided to go. And I went to this mixer and I had to make a decision when I walked into the room because I felt a little anxious. And I scanned the room. And typically you gravitate towards people you know. So when you go, if you've been to a networking mixer or a social, you scan the room to see if you know anybody that you know. And if you know somebody, you naturally gravitate towards them to kind of like ease into it. And I remember I did that and I saw no one that I knew. And I saw an empty table. And then I saw a table with two ladies and an extra chair. And I had to make a decision. Do I sit by myself or do I sit with those ladies that I don't know?
Yeah.
I really wanted to sit by myself to avoid that awkwardness. But I made the decision to sit with these two ladies. And what happened was as I sat with them, I asked them, may I sit here? And they said, sure, absolutely. And because I'm an avid reader, I've read the book, Everyone Communicates Few Connect by John Maxwell. And I've learned that connecting is all about others. And the thing that I did, I implemented that principle. I didn't talk about myself. Because many times we feel that we're interesting, but we're not as interesting as we think that we are.
Yeah.
And I remember I sat there and I made it all about these two ladies. I just asked them about themselves, what they did, what some of their goals were. And it came to a point where I was just talking about them, that they finally asked me, well, what about you? And I knew that was my cue to start connecting. And I'm not going to share the full story today, but that decision that I made to connect with these two ladies led me to opportunities later on that benefited Zera Coaching and that benefited our team. But there's value in connecting with people. And going back to that personal branding, connecting must be intentional. And some people that are listening, it may be awkward or you may not know how to connect with people. And we want to create this space in order to be able to help you, inspire you to be able to connect with people.
And you took that opportunity to genuinely connect with these people. Like you said, you could have sat alone. You could have and not connected with anyone, but who would have known? You go back to the office, they ask you, hey, how did the event go? You say, great. End of story. We go on with our day. But no, it was genuinely a great event because you were able to not just communicate, connect with these people. And like you said, I can't wait to hear about these opportunities that opened up with that specific conversation. You know, you had an option and you chose the more challenging option, which is not as comfortable as people think it is. It's easier said than done. But are you really going into that room and networking and connecting with people that you've never connected with before? Because I can agree, a lot of these mixers, a lot of these social gatherings, it's a lot of the same people. And I already know what you do, and you know what I do, but who else? can we connect with? Can we go there with? Have these deeper conversations like we like to have, right? So, you took an opportunity and you made it your own, and, it elevated you in ways you didn't even know at the time.
Yeah, and the other point that I want to make when it comes to personal branding is sharing your experience, but more importantly, sharing your expertise. We all have an area of strength, and here in a minute, I'll have you share what you feel your area of strength is. But I feel that my area of strength is being able to genuinely connect with people, and not only connecting with them, but following up. And it's 3 steps that I like to talk about is communicate, follow up, and follow through. Communicate, follow up, follow through. And I think that that's an area where I excel. And personal branding is being able to share with people in your circle, but also on your social media, being able to share what your strengths are. And I feel that I can help people by connecting genuinely if you struggle connecting with people, but more importantly, how to nurture those relationships, because those relationships will create opportunities. Now, those opportunities aren't the goal, they're a byproduct of what you do.
And I want to take it back to the nourishing part. The nourishing of the relationships of these conversations plays a huge role in connecting with people. If you're not applying pressure, then nothing's going to come out of that conversation, of that friendship. And you say, communicate.
Follow up.
No, it's communicate,
Follow
up, and follow through. You say communicate, follow up, and follow through. And following up is inviting them for lunch, inviting them for coffee, inviting them for, hey, can we chat for a quick 10 minutes? I want to learn a little bit more about you. But then following through, actually showing up for lunch, actually showing up for coffee. And I remember that when we first met, you wanted to follow up with me. And I don't know if it was my schedule or maybe I wasn't ready to connect with you. And I remember a few times turning down your invite to certain things because remember at that time, I didn't see the value that I possessed or the qualities that I had to pour into other people. I didn't see that at the time. And so I denied you a few times and I denied you a few times. And I'm like, well, what's up with this guy? He's being kind of, pushy and, he wants to, but now I know it was your way of connecting. Days later, you show up at my office and you bring a sweet treat and you just said, hey, I was in the area, was thinking about you guys. Here you go. And our whole department was able to enjoy some delicious crumble cookie.
Yeah, and at that time, I remember I became a member of the chamber that you were at. And really, the chamber has been a blessing to me because they really pushed my brand. And that's my way of saying thank you. And, when it comes to personal branding, you want to brand yourself in a way that when people mention your name in a room, that people have a pleasant experience, that people think positively. Because I've been in many rooms where names come up and people don't have anything good to say.
Man.
And that, to me, it saddens me.
It does, yeah.
Because when you consistently hear a name and you hear negativity in that name, it really saddens me. Because I understand that we're not all perfect and we don't have it all together. But if there's a consistency where people constantly are mentioning your name and there's nothing good attached to it, that means that there's something that must be worked on. And, the final thing I'll share about personal branding that we've already spoke about, but I wanted to highlight more, is making sure that you are authentic and genuine. Personal branding, it's about being authentic and genuine because people know when you are not being real. People much rather follow a person who is always real than one who is always right.
Yeah.
And being genuine with your interactions, being truthful. When people ask me certain questions, even when they ask me, how are you doing? sometimes I have to pause because I didn't just want to do a cookie cutter response by saying, I'm doing good. How about you? When people ask me, I think and say, okay, how am I doing? And want to be able to respond because I want to make sure that whenever I brand myself and present myself to others, they think of Hervin as someone that is genuine and authentic. Because, yeah, I might be a Maxwell certified leadership coach, but I don't have it all together. And it's okay. And there's many people in society that are trying to show this image of themselves that they have it all together. But the reality is that we don't always have it all together. Yeah. So personal branding is being authentic and being genuine. It's very important to present yourself that way.
And with that being said, one of my strengths in personal brandings is authenticity. A lot of people know me as this funny, bright jokester, pretty lenient on the seriousness. I don't get too serious when it comes to, I live my life. I mean, almost every day I say, it's not that serious. But if you really take a step back and think about it, it's not that serious. So I live very authentic, and I like to make that my personal branding I'm a jokester day in and day out. I will crack a joke in any type of setting that we're in because no setting is that serious to have a quick laugh, right? No matter how professional you are or if you're with a leadership role, we could all use a smile here and there. So I think that authenticity, that's really me, is I bring a smile to the room because I want to bring a smile out of someone else also. So really my strength is that authenticity to the energetic and bright, always smiling type of person. It's not always like that, but only the people that I keep within my close circle know what kind of days those look like for me. And you sometimes see some of those days for me, right? Some of those days where it's just not it. It's not today. But at the end of the day, I still walk out of there laughing and joking, and because it's really not that serious, right?
So in closing, if you're not branding yourself, do it in an authentic and genuine way. Start somewhere, and we can help you get to where you want to be. It might not be easy for you, or you might be struggling, but I believe that we have a great team with Zara Coaching. We encourage you to join one of our masterminds, or want to join a webinar, or join one of our conferences, or maybe even a individual coaching session. I guarantee that you will begin to see changes in your life because we are all about adding value to people.
We'll see you on the next one.